Okay, guys, I want us to talk about the gig economy in Uganda. You know that there's
all the freelance economy.
Freelance.
I don't even know what gig.
Yeah. Okay. So what's freelance also? What's freelance? What's gig?
To be able to provide services or do jobs without being attached to a particular organization or company as an employee in there, but so just do this continuously.
Yes. Very short term.
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted us to talk about that, considering you know how in Uganda there is no minimum wage, for example. So, and a lot of people are doing those short term gigs. Yeah, like 1 minute they're doing this, while they're never. Other people would call them hustlers, something like that. So I wanted to know, especially considering a lot of young people in Uganda are doing those kinds of jobs. Also, especially because of the unemployment rates in Uganda, so people have kind of had to figure out how to survive.
We are going to increasingly have to rely on
doing things here and there and whatnot. And I wanted to know, for example, is it something that you guys have experienced? Is it something that you do? I know that even for us who are in formal employment, some formal employment, we've had to supplement that income and look for monies elsewhere so that you can pay the rent or do whatever it is that you want to do. And I don't know if it's something that you guys have done before or something that you do constantly. Is it something that you have experienced?
I've done many gigs over the years. And I'm not even that old yet.
You're the one.
But yes, in line with what I do, I mean, at this cusp of like internet and social media, digital marketing and whatnot, that didn't pass me by. I'm not doing it actively now, but I did like 2 years ago. A lot of those gigs come and report on this, come and cover this event for us online, your accounts or the other accounts. And yes, the gig economy is big. Freelance work is big now for us in Uganda.
What has the experience been like? Like when you've had to, you've been contracted by different people or organizations to do digital marketing, for example. What has your experience been like?
Like many people, which is the most interesting thing about freelance work and how we rate services in this country. Lots of people who have approached you because they figure you have the audience or you have the skill to do whatever they want to be done, then end up turning the tables and making it seem as if they're doing you a favor. And you are the one who needs them, when it's just a mutual, it could be mutually beneficial, whatever it is that you're doing. So they'll say things like, there'll be breakfast at this event.
We shall pay you in exposure.
Well, they won't say we shall pay you in exposure, but then they'll say things like, now that I run a company, sometimes they'll say what they have to offer in return is to put you on all of their publicity materials. So that's banners and things like that. You'll appear on your logo will appear on every material. And then I just think, but I go to a lot of events. I never go looking at banners to see which logos are where, so that I could contact them for work. So why do people assume that this works? I think that is such a terrible marketing stunt. But I mean, I've done work, and that pay you in exposure, will pay you in publicity. You've come to me for publicity because I have your market. Now you're the one who has my market. And sometimes it's true that they could. But for me, I've looked at it. It bothered me for a while because then I was on a very small income, and then people keep saying there'll be lunch, there'll be breakfast, but then in the taxi I can't pay with your breakfast. So it's crazy. But then I started to think about like certain gigs. Of course, I wouldn't go to all, but for some I started to think about it as, if I were able to do this job and do it well, and I have a report, can I add this to my portfolio for it to be able to give me access to bigger jobs and bigger things. So some people can actually pay you in terms of exposure, but not in the way that they say.
Okay, how do you find these jobs? And I'm speaking for someone, for example, who has never had to do a gig, but you want them to realize, like, listen, you're going to have to do this or something like that.
Yvonne, how do you find your gigs?
My gigs are not okay. The gigs I have had the unfortunate opportunity, because the gigs I have done, the ones I've done this far have not been very successful, because obviously as soon as I'm going for a gig, I want side cash. I want more money, like to top up on like my regular job. And it's just been that guys don't appreciate. It's like guys just want to pay you quite little. But then from my regular job, I get to meet very many people. I get to interact with so many people, and because I'm doing this over and over, I gain a lot of information. So it's like there are things I know, so which might be relevant to other guys. So it's like I just present myself. If I find someone, because I'm into construction, you find that very many people are building, and guys don't know so much. Guys don't know where to get stuff. So it's just that I can help you with that. I know where that is found. I know how much you should use. I know how much you can get it at. So it's just presenting myself with a solution to a problem. Because as soon as I see someone struggling with something, it's like, I can solve that for you.
Is that also one way you would say you market yourself? Like, because there's me telling someone that, hey, this is where you can get it. Yeah. So instead of someone, say, for example, to go to a certain maybe social media company to get their work done. Yeah, because they can, let me say, for example, personal shoppers, for example, they can tell you, this is where I get them. So ultimately, I can go and get those stuff myself, or I could hire them. So how do you position yourself?
I think, Patricia, before I forget, I like to think that you can only grow in something that you're already doing or that you are in. Like, you can only grow in an industry when you're in it. So, of course, I don't know how you would first approach people to start doing personal shopping for them, but I don't expect that you will be like at the university and say, oh, I want to be a personal shopper. Let me look up somebody who's looking for a personal shopper. Or even when you want to do this or digital influencing business and digital marketing, I think that you're most likely to get hired for more jobs if somebody witnessed you doing work for another person.
What do you have to offer?
So are you asking for what's that point where you get the first foot in the door?
I was agreeing with you, but no, I don't agree with you.
The first foot in the door.
So how do you get the first foot into the door?
Actually, I've also done personal shopping. And the thing is, it's just recognizing need.
Yes.
Because you see, like with personal shopping, there's some people just do not like the hustle of going to look for stuff. The thing is just noticing the need. And that's what makes your bargaining power really higher. Because I just say, okay, so this one then like to hustle. This one then want to go and walk. This one then want to go.
First give me 20,000, I go do your shopping this weekend.
Oh, okay, you know what? I can bring you that stuff. I can bring you this. I can bring you, and you even choose. I can make your life easy. You don't have to suffer. As long as I recognize the need, and I'm like, okay, you know what, even before you pay, let me show you that I can actually do it. And then,
So is that also one way, because the other thing also is, how do I know that this is the right job or gig for me to do? So is that also one way you can say, like, by recognizing the need, I'll be like,
I think that's one way, but I would also like to think that many people are not that critical about the things that they do. And so in that case, you're going to have to do a couple of freelance jobs for exposure, then figure out which one is really the right job.
But then there are also people, for example, who can pretty much do anything.
Yes.
Anything. Like, you just tell them.
But the question is, for how long are they going to do anything? And true growth, okay. Because at some point,
you can't be growing in
cash. But you see, money is also, there's also scales
when you're
of
looking
cash.
for money, are you looking for the same little type of money that you start out with forever? I don't think so. Everyone is looking to grow, at least in terms of money. It might not be trying to grow themselves.
No, so for example, someone said, I need a driver.
Yeah.
You're not a trained driver or anything, but you can drive.
Yes.
And they're paying you a good, some good money for that, like to just drive them around. You're not doing anything, but you can drive. Why don't you do that? Another time someone says, I need someone to watch my kids.
You can watch kids.
I
You
can
have
watch
eyes.
kids.
You are
I'll do
awake.
it.
You are alert.
But
you watch
I'll do it. Like you do everything. Like
but you
pretty
see,
much.
Patra,
Yeah.
that kind of need for cash, it feels like it.
Isn't that what the freelance?
Yeah, but
is
then
about money?
many
Yeah,
freelancers decide and go a certain path
Well,
and then grow in it such that they
it's
can
for
be
money,
able
but
to.
it's also either they've
What
not been
service
able
will
to
you be able
access
to offer?
formal employment, or they are tired of having to play by the rules in the formal employment 9 to 8, 5.
No, because there are people who do gigs in line with what they are good at. Like if I'm a social media expert, I'll take on social media
work.
gigs.
Yeah.
But then there are people, like how I've said, there are people who will do.
And they get paid the money they
much.
deserve. That's where now the issue of
Let's
exploitation comes
ask
in, I
people
think.
who are doing freelance work full
Gigs.
time, literally.
Like, can they do
talk to that.
anything and everything?
Yes.
Sure.
We are here at Olive's Restaurant and Bar in Naguru, opposite the surgery, which is our new home. Come through, visit this beautiful place for great pizza and really nice whiskey.
Hi, Florence.
Hello.
It's great to have you here. Apparently, you're the go-to person about gigs. What gigs are you involved in?
What are the
do you
many
do?
things
Yeah.
that you do?
What do I do? So I have a job, 9 to 5 job. It's a PR job. I work with Whitehead Communications. And then besides the job, I just do like my gigs on the side.
Side hustle.
Yeah, I do some photography and a lot of social media influence.
You take really nice photos.
Thank you.
So, before you came on, we were just talking about how the payment structure, especially the payment structure, and also
how you find
self-marketing of like the guys who are into gigs, the freelance, the people who are doing freelance. Like, so what's your experience with first getting the jobs? Let's leave your 9 to 5, getting your side hustles. How have you been like able to market yourself? How have people been able to find you?
So I would say I've been lucky to, like, I don't go out like looking for these jobs, asking for people like, do you have gigs? Can I have a gig? Blah blah blah. I've been lucky to like depend so much on the work that I put online. Like for the photos, I put my work online on Twitter and Instagram, and then people just DM me or call me or ask friends for my contact information to do for them some work when they have work. So, which is not everyone is that lucky. There are people who maybe there are people who get for other people gigs. I've seen situations now where like people who are often called for gigs have started sort of companies or like contracting out the gigs to different people.
like they do it together.
Yeah,
like if you're like digital influencers, for example,
Yes.
they come up with like their own
Yeah.
like a network of sorts, so that when okay, that's cool.
That's why.
But you've done something, and you put yourself out there. You
Yes.
put your work. You took
Yes.
photos and then put your work out there.
Yeah, it's like that's the way I've sort of marketed myself, by putting out my work, and whoever likes it then
They contact
contacts
you.
me for.
So that's for the photography. What
Yes.
about like the
For
other
the-
stuff that you do?
For the social media influencing, it's still about like I'm a very vocal person online, and I usually like post about things either that interest me or I'm passionate about, and then people who see that stuff sometimes contact me still to do for them some work. I'm very interested in the arts, like creative events and stuff like that, so I usually post about it. I usually attend those events, take photos, post them on my blog or on my pages still. So when people are looking for people in that field, they will probably look for me, or my friends would recommend me to other people.
Like when you start out, for example, because that I think was one of the things that we were trying to talk about when you're starting.
shoeing.
Yes,
that
yes.
foot inside. Do you start doing it for free, for example? Then the more people see your work, then you start to monetize these skills of yours. is it something that you have done, like, let me first, because usually also you start it as a hobby, like, it's something I enjoy and whatnot, and things like that. You're not charging anyone for it. They just see your stuff, and then after, like, oh wait, I could actually make some money from this.
Well, I've for sure attended some events, for example, and taken pictures for myself. I'm just taking, like, because I'm making content for my site or for my personal use, and then I put it out, and people always assume I'm getting paid for it, so those are the times when I do free work. But besides that, most people pay for it. Most people pay for the post side.
So can we then assume that you're not one of those gig people who have had to interact with clients who pay in exposure? Like, have you had an experience like that? How do you, but also, just before you answer that question, how do you decide that for this person I'll do it for free, and then for this person or client I will charge you for it?
Well, the exposure bit, it's I myself that decides, like, I can benefit from this particular project, so I can work for free for it. For example, there are like stuff like book launches, maybe, where I can say, well, I don't mind my logo being up there. I know not everybody is going to go searching for, like, who are into this, which people are sponsoring, blah, blah, blah. But there are some creatives. That's why I love, like, dealing with creatives. It's like they are interested in, like, oh my God, who took these pictures? Oh my God, who did this? It's not like the bar events or like these sort of chidula kind of things where, like, people just show up that they don't care, like, who did this, who did that. But the creative events, which I love and I'm involved in more, people do sometimes look like who was doing official photography for this place, who was, so it depends. But they doing stuff for free, it's most times, if the exposure bit, it's me who initiates it with some people. I contact people if I see, like, they're doing amazing stuff and I feel like I can collaborate with them, then I can contact them and work with them for free. That's if I feel like I'm going to benefit from it. But if I'm not going to benefit, like, for example, no offense, but if on Instagram there's like a model or someone really, big.
Who has a big following.
Who has a big following, with maybe thousands of followers. And
with that K.
You don't have a K. You're not and big. They ask, like, can we collaborate, blah, blah, blah. I would accept, but do not contact me when you have like 400 followers.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
We shall go in our corner.
Because there's no exposure. there's no exposure. Like, there's no big exposure you're going to give me, really.
Okay, so Florence, I have a question. With companies and organizations, we are usually used to flat fees or rates. Now, I really wonder with the freelance guys, especially inUganda, where, like, especially when you're buying stuff, everything is for octesa. You have to negotiate. It's like, okay, how much do you have? Things like that. So I wonder, with the freelancers, the guys who are doing gigs, do people already know how much they're going to pay when they approach you, or is it like for every client you're going to just talk? Well,
there's still two. Like, you see, with the freelance world, it's like there's always options, right? There are two options still. There are clients who, like, already have budgeted and already know, like, we are willing to spend this much on, like, freelance work, like whoever is coming on to do this kind of work. So those will tell you their price, like what they are offering, and it's up to you to take it or leave it. And then there are people, like, who are very open and will ask you, like, so you're going to do this and this, so how much do you think you want to get from this? And it's up to you to calculate, like, I'm going to spend on my data, my transport, my, like, all these expenses, so how much do I want to get back?
But I'm interested to find out, isn't that for the first option, where, say, I feel like isn't it kind of being taken advantage of, because your service, unless it is that you're going to take away some things from your service, because your service remains the same. However, this person has come and told you, "May I want photos for 50K?"
Yeah.
And
do you lower the quality of the pictures? do I give you less pictures because this is the price that you're giving me?
That's based on individuals. I think different people negotiate differently
for prices.
But DM for price. But I can tell you that I personally, there are prices I will not work for. Like, I'm not, and this is the problem. Like, much as I may have standards of like, I'm not working for anything below 150 or below 200 or 300, there are people like who will be approached. If someone approaches me and tells me the price and I'm like, no, I think that's so low. How about you think about, raising it a bit? And then they go to the next person and the next person is okay with 50,000, That, first of all, it affects everybody.
That's true.
It affects everybody because now people always will go with the plan B or a plan C, and that's what's killing freelancers. They're not making so much. Yeah, they would rather go. Yeah, and then like people who accept to be exploited, they also like affect how pricing is, because if people
they're willing to work for anything,
if they're willing to work like for 50,000 for a job that's supposed to be 350, and then these guys will think, okay, these guys can always do it for a cheaper price, and then the other people are not getting jobs. So it's a big problem. So people need to know how to negotiate.
There's no set price.
Yeah.
So maybe my next question would be, gigs are not like for informal employment where you know that like a contract, I'm going to be working for this company for 2 years or 3 years or whatnot.
Yeah.
How do you keep them coming? Because the gigs might be flowing this month.
Yeah, and the next month.
And then next month, like next 1 month or 2 months, you're there, but you would need you have bills to pay and things like that. So how do you? And maybe for you it's easy because you have a formal job, but there's so many other people who really rely on just that. Like how do they keep them coming?
Well, you can't keep the gigs coming. However, you can survive whether there is work or not at like different times. It's about how you plan. Because the problem with freelance is this: they'll give you the money, like you go for a gig, finish, and then they give you like immediately after, and then you've been thinking this whole time like, okay, when I get this payment, I'm going to pay for this, but then so most people in the freelance business, they forget to budget for their money, and they just spend it how they earn it, like they earn,
or it comes
spend as
and goes out like that. So they don't. Okay, so
I think it's more of, because the whole year you're not going to have gigs, even if you're the best person at what you're doing. There are just periods when like maybe that industry you freelance in is just slow. No for example, no events, no, like there's no work to be done. So I think it's more about freelancers knowing how to budget for their money and like how they will survive whether there are gigs or not.
How do you budget for your money?
Maybe well, I have very good. I have
like, or accounting and stuff like that.
First of all, I think people should learn how to budget and like think of the expenses. For example, if you have rent to pay, if you're getting paid, you're not. First of all, you're not earning like someone who is going to expect salary at the end of every month. So maybe when you get that payment, either save an amount of whatever you earn. If you're earning like 200K per gig, maybe save 50K, 70K on every gig and spend and pay for whatever you want to pay for with the rest. Or if you're not going to do that, then when you get the money, pay for like your most immediate needs, so that when there is no gigs at all and you're just like, there are actually people who spend like a whole month with no gigs, so and you need to survive. So maybe when you clear that, for example, you've cleared your rent maybe for the month, even if the next month, like rather if you clear your rent for the next month, then if you don't have gigs throughout that time, then you're not. Yeah.
Bear with me, I have like 3 questions. Still on the money.
Yeah.
I know that there are those clients that do not pay on time.
Yes.
And I would like to know what happens with the freelance, because you're not being paid consistently, so you need your money. Like almost immediately you've done your job, because it's how your mode of survival.
Yeah.
So what do you do in such cases where people are not paying you immediately?
I've seen people go online and expose, like exposing
There's a
people
whole
like
Facebook page, name and shame.
exposing people for like not paying.
Okay.
But I think we need to be smarter. Make maybe terms before you go to work with these guys, so that I don't know why people feel like they can't even like go legal on this stuff. Because if I have terms and we set terms and agreed on them, then there's no way. At least I have something to back me up if I'm demanding my money, which most people hate demanding. Yeah, like going after someone and asking them for money, and you've done a job, and these people are the same people that put you on so much pressure as you do the job.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, they start telling you, oh, come next week, come next week, come next week. Like, first of all, it's not fair. But then freelancers should be smarter and think about...
the what if.
What if they don't just trust people like that. So think about maybe putting stuff on paper and taking action if the other party doesn't follow the agreement.
Okay, so also I know that for professional jobs, professional work, there's always like a price floor. Like you cannot charge below this amount.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like a minimum wage?
Yeah, like a minimum wage. Okay.
For certain industries, because
for certain professions. For certain professions, like for architects, they'll set a minimum that you cannot go below this, because they do not want to create the situation where there are people who are undercharging and hence getting all the jobs or destabilizing the market prices. So what solution would you advise or propose for
how are you working around that?
The other freelancers. Well, first of all, I know there are some groups for like creatives and what. So most of them have actually of late started putting up conditions of like, you guys, below this amount, let's all reject it, right? Although there are some who will go behind.
Yeah, that's true.
And accept those
They need
prices.
quick money. When you need quick money,
they
they
need the quick money, and I think our needs are different. So some people like will go for the quick money, and that is a big problem. And I think even if the country puts like minimum wages on different things, I don't think they will affect freelancers, right?
I think that they would.
You think?
It would have some positive like impact, for example, on how freelancers work. Because if you're saying someone can charge 50k for something that should ideally be 350, I think a minimum wage would be great. And there are always new people joining these different markets and whatnot and things like that. And for example, I've had like young people who are seeing this social media thing working, like, okay, how much should I charge? Like, and I know that I was like that at first. The first time I got a social media gig, I didn't know how much I should ask for. Because for like a university student, for them maybe getting 150 is a lot. Like it's not something that
even
they imagine.
50,000.
50,000 is a lot. Yeah, like they'll pay you 50, and that's a lot. Yeah. So when you tell them, no, it should be 300, feel like, what? I can make that much money, but like how? Because there are people who don't have that opportunity to have someone that you can ask. You've just realized that it's something that you like, and you could do it, and people are making money, and you want to make money, but you don't know where to start from. Like how? It's something. Maybe those people who are doing 50k, they also don't know that you know that it could be more. It could be more. So what are the avenues for them to get access to, people like you? Like,
let's see. Still in those different groups, and circles, I think they should take like bold steps to ask like people who have been doing this for, first of all, there's something you asked earlier, and I want to first answer it, and then I can link it to this. First of all, like personal branding. There are some people who, like, you will not tell a certain amount because they have set their brand. They have set a standard of.
You cannot tell them 50,000.
Yeah.
Does it look like I earn
First
50K?
of all, they have taken so much time to invest, I think, in their personal,
presentation.
And they create very good content. Like, it's just not worth your little money. If a brand comes to you and asks, can you do for us this work, blah blah blah, and then you're like, I can't work for this amount, and then they would rather use a cheaper person. But if they know, like, you are so good at what you do, they are going to think about it. Do they want trash work, or they want to pay and get like something they really want? So branding for freelancers is very important, on top of like trying to be good negotiators and then budgeting and all that. Another way of surviving in the gig economy is like knowing how to brand yourself. Because it's like you are the business. People are looking at the work you're doing and like the quality of it, so they will pay you according to the quality of that work. So the better you improve your brand, the more people will not just come to you with their trash prices, telling you like, can you work for 50K? Tell me to work for 50K.
Some people have no shame, let me tell you. Some people have no shame. Come to you.
So branding. And now going back to your question.
My question was people who are joining.
People who are joining.
How do they find you people? Like, how do I say, this is the person I should talk to? If I'm a musician, for example, I sing in my bathroom and whatnot, but I want to know how I can get these small gigs, even if it's singing in a bar or something like that. Who do I go to?
First of all, look at the people like who are already doing it, and don't be scared to ask them, because I'm sure.
Find them. Because if we're talking about like online, you might DM someone and rely on God's grace that they will respond. Yes, because they are big stars. So the thing is,
do you know what's interesting? But you know what's interesting? Most people actually enjoy like
helping.
Like if I DM'd you and asked you, like the time you were doing all these gigs and if I DM'd you, I'm very sure you'd be very glad to help. And most people, like, for someone to DM them and tell them, like, give them the compliments of, I admire your work, I've seen this and this, I've seen this and this. Most people will love to help you. In photography, there are so many people I've told, like, I'm not scared of telling people, like, I love your work. Some people think like it's like kissing us or whatever, but if someone's work is good, then give them the credit. So I tell them like, I love your work, and most people like complimenting their work is just a way of starting a friendship. They're like, oh, so this person follows my work, does this, that. So those guys should look at other people who are already doing it and ask them for some wisdom about it, and I'm sure they would be glad to help. Or even research on like what, go online, see like people doing this, and how much, what's the average they're earning from it, and then you charge according to that.
But that's in the context of developing countries. I've seen people who do my work and I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, it makes me feel so sad. Like, oh my God, I could be earning this much money.